Okay, so let's start preparing the basic scene, and then we'll tweak the particle setup to stimulate the trails. So the first thing we can do is to create something really simple. I will go to create something like a knife, maybe just the metal part, and let's go to have more segments, and then we go to have one segment there too, and one segment there. Okay, so you see it's something really simple. Then we can go to use, for example, an FFD box, and we go to start having more segments, 7 for this axis. And let's go to see this axis. Maybe we can use, okay, let's try with 2, and there we can go for 3. Okay, let's start working on the knife there. So we go to let's, for example, move this point. I will go to create something really simple, so don't take care about the quality about the model. That's just to see how we can manage something like that. So you see I'm scaling some part and creating some differences also on the other part. We can go to scale just a little bit. I'm going to create something strange, so it's not a problem to see how it looks. So then we can pick the points on the top. We can go to have something like that. Then we can pick the middle one and make it a little bit bigger, and then those points and make it bigger. So you see it is something simple. Let's go to, oh sorry, let's go to move these vertices. And we can do this kind of stuff manually. With the G key we can remove the grid. I'm going to pick also this point, and we are going to move it. Then we can pick this one, and again over the x-axis we can manage the shape, and we can do the same with the last one, if it is the right one. Okay, nice. Let's move those vertices there. This one is right. Let's go to manage the other. And let's go on the top. We have to tune a little bit this one. And then we have to manage this vertex needs to be moved. Okay, we have this strange shape. Obviously I'm not taking care about the quality again. Let's go to scale this one. There we scale, and there we scale. Okay, and there we go, just a little bit bigger. Okay, nice. Now I like to let's go to see just the vertices around the mesh. If we go to have a turbo smooth, you see that we are starting to have something like that. I like to go there inside the edit poly, and we can start to play. Let's go in shaded, and let's say to see also the edges faces, so we can start manage some part. So we can go to peak, let's see there, to have more space, and I think we can go directly with the edit mesh, so we can control in a better way the weight of some vertices. So let's pick some vertices from the outer side of the mesh. Let's go in a user as orthographic, and we can pick also this one, and the top, and then we can go in the lower area and do the same thing, so we can select all those vertices. Nice. Let's see the final result. You see that we have some curves there, and I like to have an higher level. You see that with the higher level we are able to have something different. For the moment, let's go for 15 for the weight, and then we can add another tool. I think we can go with an edit poly. Let's remove and see what happens if we pick these edges on the side, and then we can stop because I like to do something simple, as I said before. So we go to pick also there and there, and the same on the top. Let's zoom there and pick. Now we can rotate on the other side, and we can start to pick the edges. And then just the lattice part there. You go to select this one, and there, and remove, sorry, and remove the last one. Nice. We get to see the final result, and we get to have a chamfer. We can decide how much and how much detail we like to have there. Let's say yes and close. So that's our mesh. You see, it's obviously really simple, but it is nice enough to work with it. Let's make maybe just an hole there. So from this point of view, we can create a cylinder. Okay, and move it there, and from the other point of view we can manage the position. Let's go at full screen with this one. So we have the first object, we go for compound object, and we go for pro boolean, and we go for a subtraction, and we check this one. So we have our mesh. It's simple, but it's nice and effective. So now we have to animate this one. We'll do something simple also there. So let's think that we have this one there. Let's go for maybe 150 frames. Okay, and animate. Let's go at the end, and that's the animation. We go to change in the curve editor the animation. You see that we have a curve there, but I like to have a linear animation. Perfect. So we have the right movement. Now I like to have a rotation too. So we go at the last frame and we make a rotation. So now what happens is that it is rotating really slowly. So let's go again in the curve editor and let's go in the rotation. First of all, it is linear, and the other thing we have to change there, you see that the rotation is minus 263. We go for the moment for minus 2000, and then we can see, okay, it seems that it's going not bad. Maybe just a little bit less because we are working in a slow motion to see better the effect. So that's the animation. Okay, perfect. So let's go in a perspective. Let's remove the auto key. Okay, we can move like that, and you see that it is arriving there. So we have the object flying in front of the camera and going. So maybe we can create a camera from this point of view. So view, create camera, and then we can first of all moving forward. Okay, and maybe we can create select both, and from the top view let's zoom back. We can move it like that. Okay, so I like to have the camera really near the object, so you see we have the possibility to see how it is moving. But before, maybe we can have the animation. So let's say that this one is the key there, so animate and going back, and let's see what happens if we have something like that. You see that we are seeing from the side, and then we see the object flying away, so we see all the detail. Okay, So now we can start to prepare the particles. So we can use particle flow as always, and we start adding this object as object emitter. So let's remove the speed and the rotation for the moment, and we say that we have particles until 150. Let's go for 2000, and we say to show 100% of particles inside the view. We need a position object instead of the position volume there, and we add this one. Now you see that what we are obtaining is something like that. It is similar in any way with the stuff I like to create, but I like to do something different. So let's say to show dots, and let's say that we have a little bit of random walk. So you see that the particles are moving in a fluid way when it is leaving the particles. Let's go to have an higher viscosity. Let's go for 100%. We'll have 40% for the variation. The speed can be nice. We go for a bigger nice sides, and we'll have a 45 variation for the speed. I like to see more particles inside the viewport, and then we can see again what is happening. Okay, nice. Let's go to have less speed to see the particles moving less. Okay, still less. So let's go for a really low amount of speed, so we have just a little bit of movement later. Okay. Something more that can be done is, first of all, to remove the speed, so delete with the right mouse button, and then I like to remove the various stuff like the delete and the diff. So we can just put a delete. The delete now is delete whole. We go for a particle age. So we'll see the particles dying. You see, after a while we can have a lower value for the life. So it is dying before. And I like to do something more, and I mean, let's go to select the object. We can go for polyselect, and I like to have something like that. I like that. Okay, close the selection, and there you see it is working still as before, but there we can say to use the selected vertices. So now you see we are using just the part on the top to create this kind of effect. We can have also a higher density where needed, so we can decide to pick a material, a really simple material, and we go to have a gradient ramp. Then we go to have a new V map from this point of view. Let's see the gradient ramp. We say -90 to rotate the gradient ramp. And we go to have completely white there. We have completely black there. And we have maybe still complete white. And complete white also there. And then we have black there. and black there. So we can decide that we have more particles, a higher density of particles at the top and in the lower area, and then less particles. In this case, now we can go inside the particle system and we can ask to have the density done by the grayscale. So we go there and say use the grayscale. You see that it's using less particles, so we can manage how much particles we like to have. If you like to manage a little bit the presence, you can go there in the material editor and you can have, sorry, this one must be removed. We can have a little bit more. So back at the beginning, let's say to delete the particles if the location is wrong. So if maybe it is putting a particle there, it will be deleted because it's not the right position. Okay, now we have the right density, and in this case maybe we can also remove the particle selection. So let's go to surface, and you see we are controlling the presence just using this this map. So we can, for example, move and go for something like that. So you see it is putting more particles at the beginning and less particles in the other area. Let's see what happens with more particles. It will be just a little bit slower, but we can see how it looks. Maybe we need a bigger noise size there, and I go for 200 for the viscosity and just a little bit of speed, higher speed, so we see more noise on the back, as you can see. Okay, nice. Let's close and save. Now we can use Krakatoa to prepare the particles. So we can go to say set Krakatoa as renderer. Okay. If we go to render this frame, it is preparing the particles, and that's done. Okay, you see that we have nothing, but we have also all the particles there inside the view. So we need a light, and to prepare the light we can go maybe just for a standard target spot, and we go to light it. It's not a problem because we are not taking care so much about the rendering quality. Okay, we see obviously white particles, green particles, because we are not taking care about the particle color. So if we like to take care about the light, the particle color, we have two ways. We can change the particle color from there, or we can manage directly inside Krakatoa. So we can go there and we can say to override the color. We go to render and you see that we have white particles. Let's go to have a high density lower exponent, so it is doing particles with a lower density. In this case, now if we use more particles, it will be able to give us a better look. So let's go to pick the particles and say to show maybe 1% particles inside the viewport, and let's go for 5 million particles. Let's save. It will take a little bit, but we'll be able to see the result, and then we can decide if we like to manage the cache directly with a PRT file. So as you see, that's the result with 5 million particles and the really low density. So in this case, you see that seems like smoke, and the quality is really nice. So we can continue to manage a little bit the particles, then we can tweak a little bit the look and render the final result. So now we can start tuning other parameters, and I like maybe to have also a secondary particle system, just to have another effects there. And I mean, we have to let's say that this one, okay, let's leave with this parameter. Let's make a copy and paste and connect to the render. And the second one will have no density by material, so let's use another tool like line. So you see that it's creating a different kind of effects. So I like to make a selection. You know that we had selection before. So in the particle system, we can say that this time we use the selected edge, vertices. If we go to see this, sorry. If we go to see, you see that this one is the stuff we are doing actually. Okay. Okay. And we can say that we have less particles. Let's say, for example, 2,500,000, and we can say that this one is let's say something like a bluish color. And I like to change a little bit the selection. So in the poly select, I like to have just particles over the points on the top and the bottom. So you see that we have just these lines. Okay. And I like to see how it looks. Sorry. So back in the particle system, we have to use both. And let's see, for example, there what we have. Save. We can see preview, and then we move to change the density depending on the life. Okay, so you see that now we have more density on the top and less density on the other stuff. So it is really nice, the effects we are achieving. Just to be sure, I'd like to render at an higher resolution. So let's go, for example, to 120, 1280 and 720, so HD. It will be really fast because, you know, we are just re-rendering the particles we just calculated. So you see that the quality is really nice, and it is, I mean, the look we are achieving is due to the density, the really low density we are using. If it will be not so much enough, I mean, you can use an higher amount of particles, and then maybe you can tweak the particles if needed. So just to be sure, I like to have a little bit more particles. So we'll go for maybe 5 millions there. And there we go for 10 millions. Okay. Now that the project is ready, we have to prepare the cache for this file. So what we can do is to go inside Krakatoa, bring there in the front, and we save the particles, and we can save using also the age and the lifespan, so we have more channel to export. And then we go to save these files. Let's say that that's the trails. And let's call it trails. Okay, we can save those particles. If you need more particles, you can also use the partition to create more, but we'll see in another tutorial. And then that's all. We have just to save the particles. It is asking if it is okay for us. We say yes, but we have to tweak because I need all frames. So save, yes, yes, and it is saving. So it will take just a little bit to prepare the cache, and then we can use the PRT loader to load the cache and tweak the density and prepare the final render.